Hello everyone, I'm George from Ireland. Well, thank you for coming back to my channel. And in this video, I'm commenting on Sinn Féin's decision not to attend the St. Patrick's Day celebrations in the White House, because certainly since the 1990s, there's been delegations from the Republic of Ireland, often Northern Ireland, going to Washington, D.C., hosted by the President of the United States. And Sinn Féin wasn't part of that until the late 90s, until after the Good Friday Agreement. So the first minister of Northern Ireland is Michelle O'Neill. She's the first Sinn Féiner, and indeed this first nationalist of any stripe to hold that office. And her party has announced, controversially, that they shan't be attending that reception in the White House because they're protesting about the United States' violent policies towards Palestinian civilians. Because, of course, the United States government has backed Israel to the hilt under Donald Trump, and almost the hilt under Biden, providing many of the missiles, bombs, bullets, other weapon systems which have been used to rain death on Palestinian civilians. 50,000 Palestinian civilians murdered. Even the Israeli Defense Force's own estimates says that 70% are women and children. Many of the men will also be civilians. And so the United States knows exactly what's happening, and they're providing these weapons anyway. But obviously, what Israel's doing has gone far, far beyond a counter-terrorist operation. And I realize that in any war, inevitably some civilians get killed, and combatants must strive to minimize civilian casualties. They can't always avoid it, but this is not collateral damage. They know precisely what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose, destroying almost every hospital, clinic, school, mosque that they can. And there's sometimes there'll be no militants around, and they've killed a lot of people anyway. Knowing they were being filmed, Israeli soldiers often beaten up, humiliated Palestinian civilians in public. And if that's what they do when they're not being filmed, what on earth do they do when they're not being filmed? And so on. And so Michelle O'Neill, I disagree with her on virtually everything, but for once she's got it right. Usually I would say, listen to what she has to say the exact opposite, and you can't go far wrong. But I got to give credit when it's due. When it's due, I mean, it's just so blindingly obvious. Now, the Deputy First Minister, Gavin Robertson of the Democratic Unionist Party, he will be attending. Okay, they're a coalition government, this executive, and they've come from different parties and they pursue different policies. So the Social Democratic and Labour Party, which is the other major nationalist party in the north of Ireland, they shan't be going along either. So Trump has made all sorts of shocking statements about the depopulation of Gaza, about the supplantation of Gaza by Israelis. So the majority of the people of Palestine being forced out, presumably at gunpoint, never to return. And this land would be just stolen by the United States. It would be armed robbery on a national scale. What right does the United States have to a single centimeter of Gaza? Absolutely none whatsoever. And they would just take it over because Donald Trump is a gangster. He's a convicted felon. He should be in jail. It says a lot about the so-called justice system in the United States that a very, very wealthy and powerful and well-connected person gets a slap on the wrist for serious crimes, but a poor person who shoplifted would face a few years in prison. Staggering, sickening, but unsurprising. And anyway, it gets a bit worse that 500,000 Palestinians will be kept behind in Gaza to act as exploited, sweated labor for the Israeli illegal occupiers. It's just nauseating, but it's just so typical Trump. Anyway, so that's why Sinn Féin said they have to take some sort of moral stand on this, and they can't be seen to be countenancing Trump's horrendous policies with their presence. So they say, oh, Israel has a right to defend itself. Okay, but that doesn't include deliberately targeting civilians, holding back humanitarian aid, countless flagrant violations of international humanitarian law, trying to make this aid conditional on compliance to their demands, taking thousands of Palestinians hostages, and on and on and on. The willful murder of foreign aid workers, like there were some British aid workers in a car, and they told the IDF where they would be going, when they would be going, identified the car. The IDF knew exactly who they were. They killed them anyway. It is no accident. And the IDF are always boasting they've got state-of-the-art technology, the most advanced weapon systems with pinpoint accuracy. So when they kill people, it's no mistake. They know what they're doing. All the looting of houses and of mosques and so on, constant chanting of racist slogans. And that's why a lot of very senior Israeli politicians have said in public that they should annihilate the people of Gaza, kill every single last one. Now, Israel hasn't gone so far as that. They've killed about 2% of the population of Gaza, wounded about further 6%, maybe taken 1% hostage, something like that. And okay, if the Israelis, if they wanted to kill everyone in Gaza, they could have gone much further. But even they would blanch at that, not anti-Israeli remotely. Of course, there's some courageous, fine, upstanding humanitarian Israelis who gallantly raise their voice against the abominable crimes committed in their name. And this is not supposed to be excusatory of the appalling human rights abuses by many other Middle Eastern regimes, by the former Assad regime, by the Saudi Arabian government, the Iranian government, the Egyptian government, most you care to mention. And I know Israel faces a serious threat, but there was no way that Hamas, with small arms, was going to like wipe them off the face of the planet. And they had some rocket systems as well. You see, Israel is a nuclear power. There is no way on earth that Hamas could ever be an existential threat to them. So Sinn Féin has actually done the right thing about this. And of course, other governments will have foreign policies and domestic policies that a party like Sinn Féin or any other would disagree with. And so you can still go along where you disagree with them. But, you know, that there comes a crunch point when what is happening is so monstrous that you've got to send a message. And that's why I was elated, the Republic of Ireland, that we recognize Palestine as what it is, a sovereign nation, which is the right to have its independence recognized. It is not part of Israel, and it's not part of any other country. And yes, there are major liens between them, the Egyptians, the Jordanians. They are sororal nations and so forth. But Palestine is a nation by almost any definition, recognized as such by over 100 countries. And the Irish Republic is one of those, the United Kingdom recognizing it is long overdue. So I disagree with Miss O'Neill on almost everything that happened in the Troubles, but perhaps arguing over that isn't going to get us anywhere, and have to look to the future, build a shared future in the United Kingdom and indeed in the British Isles as a whole. So what matters, obviously, is what we can do to shape the future. We can't change the past. So we could maybe prevent a few deaths, register our abhorrence of what's happening, our moral outrage at the constant crimes visited upon the virtually defenseless people of Gaza. Is just grossly excessive what has been happening. These are constant and massive violations of international law, of humanitarian law, which is why there's an International Criminal Court arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu and a number of his henchmen. Well, thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe on Patreon, then PayPal, georgecallahan79@gmail.com. Toodaloo.